series, Scotland against Portugal. 14 changes for Gregor Townsend's side against a team who really caught the eye at last year's World Cup, beating Fiji and drawing with Georgia. Well, the best way to experience all of the action on TNT Sports is with the timeline markers on the Discovery Plus app. You're able to join the match late, or if you miss an early try, you can go back and catch up before moving seamlessly back into the live action. For those extra special tries, you can rewatch them over and over until your heart's content. It's not just tries as well. You can use the markers to check out penalties, conversions, drop goals, plus red and yellow cards. All of this exclusively available on Discovery Plus. Here, though, a huge crowd is inside Murrayfield awaiting the action of Scotland against Portugal. Time for the teams and time to join our commentary team of Rory Lawson, John Barclay and our commentator this afternoon, Jamie Lyon.
Good afternoon, everybody. Time was a fixture such as this in the famous Grouse Automation Series might be earmarked for a smaller venue around Scotland, but times change, rugby changes, and Scottish Gas Murrayfield virtually full to the brim, resplendent in the autumnal sunshine for the visit of Portugal. One of rugby's great success stories over the past few years, led by Tomas Appleton, and hungry for a scalp after their history-making heroics at last year's Rugby World Cup. Over 60,000 here today for the third instalment of Elite International Rugby amidst the fallen Auburn leaves and the ancient cobbles of Scotland's historic capital city. And a moment of history for Stafford McDowell. He captained Scotland on his own for the first time. What must be reverberating through his mind as he prepares to stride into the arena today. Very different narratives for these teams as Tomas Appleton sucks in the big one, looks all around him at the arena he is gracing for the very first time. The Scots with new faces, young players desperate to stake a claim. Portugal struggling to harness the momentum generated by the World Cup feel-good, but opportunities to play in places such as this, to take on the big boys of the so-called Tier 1 team, are precious and must be seized upon. We'll get to all that in a moment or two, though, because first it's time to pay tribute to a man who had such a great influence on Scottish rugby. Derek Grant, a Scotland back row, a British and Irish line, a national team coach in the 60s and the 80s, giving debuts to some of the greatest players to grace the blue jersey. He passed away this week, and we will remember Derek with a minute's applause around Murrayfield.
Leading the national team from 1985 to 1988. Please stand if you're able to do so and show Derek's family who are with us today the love and respect in which he was held, and join us in a minute's applause.
A proud son of Hoyk, Derek Grant, who graced the rugby world, and all our thoughts are with Derek's family and friends. Time then for the anthem, starting with a Portuguesa. moments every player dreams of, but so few get to live. Scotland always special, always poignant, but perhaps just that extra bit special, given 6 of these men are hearing it at Murrayfield for the very first time. Most notably the 2 debutants, Alex Samuel, who's 6'10", and Edinburgh's Ben Muncaster. He was shedding tears there. First home starts too for Will Hurd, Alex Craig, and talented young Edinburgh hooker Paddy Harrison. Fullback Tom Jordan, the only survivor from the Springboks tussle 6 days ago. Darcy Graham returns from a head injury and will be chasing down Duan Funamiera's Scottish try-scoring record. First test in over 2 years for Northampton Saints centre Rory Hutchison. This is not the Portugal we saw turning heads at Rugby World Cup 2023. Retirements, injuries, sabbaticals aplenty, new faces in the mix from Simon Mannix, such as 20-year-old Andre Cunha, in amongst the more familiar ones, including the all-action flanker Nicolas Martin. Crucially, veteran metronome Samuel Marques is available this weekend. He's in at scrum half. Lisbon dentist Tomasz Appleton skippers os Lobos from midfield. Free-scoring try machine Rafael Storti is nicknamed the Arrow. Big day in the offing for Freddie Douglas. He's poised to become Scotland's youngest debutant in more than 60 years. Watch out too for Manuel Cardoso Pinto, who's a live wire presence for the Portuguese. So many storylines, so much narrative woven through this game. And the match ball today delivered by one of Scotland's top athletes, Sammy Kinghorn, reigning T53 100 metres Paralympic champion, claimed in Paris just a few months ago her 6th Paralympic medal, to go with 6 world and European titles. And what a day, what an afternoon for Stafford McDowell. You could see the emotion writ large in his face. And his opposite man, also his captain, Tomasz Appleton, a national hero in Portugal, the man who led them to their first ever Rugby World Cup win against Fiji just over a year ago. Former Japan age-grade player Takehito Namikawa has the whistle today. He took charge of the Under-20 World Championship final over in South Africa this July. As the pyro clears and the smoke billows into the Edinburgh sky, we are ready to rumble. A game dripping with intrigue, laden with opportunity. Who will thrive inside this Murrayfield maelstrom today? First touch for new captain Stafford McDowell, and that handy left boot of his finds a safe touch.
Yeah, good afternoon, Jamie. As you say, opportunity knocks for a number of these players. That man in picture, Stafford McDowell, as skipper for the first time, and a nerve-calming take from that kick-off from Alex Samuel. Gregor Townsend will be pleased with that very first incident there. Stafford McDowell clearing the decks.
First throw from Luka Begic finds its target, and Portugal through captain Appleton. Dentist in training to become a facial surgeon over in Lisbon, who's one of 4 players starting for Portugal today who don't have what we might call semi-pro or professional deals. They are, in effect, amateur players, not that they train in amateur style. David Costa, the loose head prop, marched back by Alex Samuel. Marques. Cabral. And shoveled on by Andre Cunha, the youngster. Marques this time looking for the kick, but he had some teammates running interference. And here goes Storti. First touch for him onto Shimal Bento. And then Jose Lima, who was a try scorer in defeat last weekend against the USA Eagles. Portugal are a team who like to play with ambition, and not a team that will kick too often in this middle chunk of pitch.
They're going backwards here though, Jamie. Just the defensive pressure from Scotland just really driving them backwards. I think they probably must have lost 30 metres here just from the pressure in there.
Yes, Ben Muncaster, his first involvement in the Scotland jersey in an international, gets the holding on penalty. Looked like a couple phases before that Samuel Marques had actually shaped up to kick. One of those players got in his way, so the idea was right. I think sometimes what you see a lot with some of the Tier 2 nations, when they step up and play the Tier 1, just that game sense, that ability to understand when to kick, when to take your medicine, get out your own half, because this is what happens. A couple phases later, Ben Muncaster, clear release. He's a big unit, used to playing across the back row, but he's in great shape there. It's a terrific start to his international campaign.
Third cap for Paddy Harrison, a young player worth watching. 10 out of 10 at line-out time on a Scotland jersey, and he just about manages to notch number 11. And Murrayfield begins to find its lungs. Scotland not ruthless enough from these positions against the box. 9 visits to the 22, no tries, only 6 points yielded. Might be a different story today as Hastings running the arc, wrapped up by Luca Martin. Shoveled on to Harrison. Horn digging it out. Batty carrying forth, looking for his first Scotland try. Horn going blind. Muncaster stepping and driving. Held up right on the white paint. Alex Craig calls for it, gets it, and somehow Portugal repel the big Scarlet. Scotland right on the line here. Harrison has a shot. Big Portuguese defence, but for how much longer can it hold? Not long at all. And at the bottom of that pile of bodies is the hulking Leicester Tiger, Will Hurd. First start at Murrayfield, first international try.
And a 5-pointer straight off the back of the first incursion into the Portuguese 22. I reckon it could have been scored a couple of phases earlier. You look here, the wraparound play, Hutchison, shoulder ball here to Reid from Hastings. I think Reid was walking that one in. As it turns out, Scotland kept the patience, just kept chipping away at the dam. And then here we go, Will Hurd gets his body angle right, just manages to brush the paint there with the point of the ball. Delight for the man in the number 3 jersey, and a real confidence boost for Scotland early on in this match.
10 seconds.
Such an emotional few months for Will Hurd, robbed of a spot in the Six Nations squad by a foot injury. His family flew out to Canada at short notice to watch him make his debut. As Adam Hastings slides his first kick wide, but he's a Scotland try scorer, Will Hurd. And Gregor Townsend peering on from the back of the coaching box now, has more matches as a Scotland coach than he did as a player. His 87th game at the helm today. Only Syrian McGeechan in his first stint has a better win percentage. McDowell again in the pocket, has time to clear over the top of Nicolas Martin.
That's another great kick by Stafford McDowell. No nonsense in the 22 from Scotland. Resisting that temptation. Early score, temptation might be there to try and run something, but actually I think that's the right decision. Stafford McDowell, we see him week in, week out for Glasgow. Such a useful addition to your exit strategies. You have a man who can kick the ball as well as him. You see Ireland use James Lowe in that same role. An absolute cannon of a left boot.
Martin couldn't quite link with Samuel Marques at the base of that lineup, but Raphael Storti, an astonishing Corridor record, second tier in France for tries scored. He's managed 31 in as many games for Béziers on loan from Stade Francais. Back now with the Parisian club in the top division. Marques hoops it into the sky. Nicolas Martin gives chase, bounces off the shoulder of Reid, and Scooped up by Jose Madeira. Normally plays on the blindside flank, but deployed at 6 today. And Cabral charged down by Will Hurd. He's not going to win the race ahead of Jose Lima, but Portugal again with the reverse lights flashing, and Bento looking for Luca Martin. Popped it on the inside, only to Stafford McDowell. And Scotland recover and recycle through Darcy Graham. Tried today and he'd become the... He'd set the record for most Scotland tries in a calendar year, but about half an hour before all that unfolded, the assistant referee on the far side, Luke Pearce, has got his flag in the air.
Players didn't notice that. The challenge for Scotland here is they've got to be ruthless in this game. I'm sure that's what Gregor Townsend, that's what the leadership group would have spoken about in the week. As we have a look at this foot going in touch. Yeah, good spot by Luke Pearce. They want to be ruthless. They want to dictate the tempo of this game. They want to dictate exactly how and where it's played.
Harrison loses this line out. It's stolen instead by Nicolas Martin, who was so impressive, so impactful for Portugal during last year's World Cup. Picked up by Montpellier, one of the gargantuan clubs in the top 14. Marx drops it on Darcy Graham, but we're under penalty advantage.
Number 4.
Yeah, it's an area that Scotland will be really keen to deliver on, is that set piece. A couple of line-outs. It was Alex Samuel, I think, won the first one down in the left-hand corner that led to the score. But it was only his fingertips that managed to get him above. I think it was Nicolas Martin again on that occasion. This time Martin got in front to get the steal. And it's just little moments like that that will serve to frustrate. Again, Martin does brilliantly there, one hand.
I've got to say, that's great D. As a mirror defence there. Mirrors it, jumps early, jumps in front, but puts a lot of pressure on the throw there. It's not actually that far off, but another few inches in that throw. But it's a tough throw for Paddy Harrison there.
First chance for Portugal to flex their attacking muscle inside this Scottish half. Marx thinks it over the top. A little bit too much on it, though, and Jordan, who may very well soon be a Bristol Bear officially, expected to confirm his move from Glasgow Warriors pretty soon. He's made such a fine introduction to the Test arena over the past couple of weeks. Only his second professional start at fullback today. Horn over the shoulder. Forward comes Storti. And nicely away to Luca Martin, who threw it rather wastefully. And instead Hutchinson, beautiful pick-up from the Northampton Saints. Horn looking for space in behind the Portuguese back three, but finding only Simão Bento, who hammers it back downfield. First touch for Aaron Reid, the lightning-fast Sale Sharks winger. Wrapped up well by Appleton. Horn to Alex Craig. Had to wait close to 4 years between his second and third caps, 2021 to late 2024. Here comes Scotland, though, with Jordan in the line, fizzing it out to Darcy Graham. Cutting back on the inside, but enveloped by Luca Martin. Batty. Quite the backstory, Jamie Batty was a nightclub bouncer, worked slaughtering cows in an abattoir. He's now training to get his private pilot's licence. And of course a reigning URC champion with Glasgow as Hastings plays a 1-2 off Nicolas Martin. Scrappy opening 10 minutes this. Here's Storti, there are those skills. Gilded work from Storti, and then he gives it away to Graham. One right wing to the other. But there's a glimpse of La Flèche, the arrow of Stade Francais. Scotland, though, with a swathe of blue off to the left, and McDowell on to Hutchinson. Reid on the inside, Paddy Harrison on the outside. He's got wheels for a hooker. He's got power too. Horn, Craig, out the back door to nobody, and instead Domingos Cabral has hoofed it clear, and Cabral has pace. Jordan coming across, and he's escaped the clutches of both Portuguese halfbacks. Jose Lima smashes him into the turf, but hear him, scare him stuff at Murrayfield.
It's absolute mayhem. It is absolute mayhem. Neither side can keep a hold of the ball. There are some tired bodies there already. Some of the Portuguese front five with hands on knees. Some of the Scots similarly.
A little glimpse of Portugal's prowess from broken field, though. They love to run. They love opportunities such as this for Bento, who brings in Storti, who throws it straight to McDowell. McDowell charging for the line. Bento's not going to get there, and the captain accepts his gift. and marks a day to savour with a try he'll remember forever.
And the rest of the players can breathe now. That had a bit of everything in that passage of play. End to end, we saw glimpses of Portugal, and amongst that, the chip and chase. I thought Tom Jordan did exceptionally well to get back and cover the kick as they went through a couple of phases later. But a very scrappy passage of play culminates in an intercept for Stafford McDowell. Length of the pitch stuff. Big man, he can shift though.
It was a race of the least tired legs, wasn't it? It was Stafford McDowell maybe wasn't moving that quickly, but neither was anybody else. Ball just dropped into his lap. Too quick. Another 5-pointer for Scotland.
The lactate levels are bubbling and building already as Hastings brings Scotland on to 12 points. He's had quite the resurgence, Stafford McDowell. He sat in Glasgow's managing director's office, Al Kellogg, a few seasons ago, expecting to be cut from the team. He just wasn't playing, but he's made himself an essential part of Franco Smith's squad. And from his beginnings on a cattle farm in Dumfries, he's now captain of his country. And there's the contrast, the anguish and the joy. Scotland keeping the scoreboard in pace with the clock here. Point a minute, 12-0 as we enter the 13th of the day. Harrison flinging it out to Crosby, met with a strong shoulder from Jose Lima. Samuel, one of those who might well have made his debut on that 4-test summer tour for Scotland, were it not for an injury which ruled him out of that voyage. Luca Martin, much taller, much rangier than Darcy Graham, but Graham brings down his larger opponent.
It's an area I think Scotland actually need to improve on. You saw last week, South Africa dominated the airways, and Scotland have got to improve that ability to win the ball back on their kicking terms.
Incredibly loose, incredibly chaotic. The upshot is a Scottish scrum.
Yeah, there's moments of a little bit looking a bit ominous for Portugal, just the physicality, the levels that we would expect. Simon Mannix asked beforehand how he can get his charges to rise to the standards, and he just kind of said, cross my fingers and hope, because that is where the big difference comes. Is, you know, there are 4 non-professionals, 4 amateurs who might train as semi-professionals in this Portuguese team, but is different. Whilst there are some young, inexperienced international players within this Scotland squad, they've got those hours, those days in and amongst the professional environment. They've had a couple of weeks in and amongst the Scotland preparation for Fiji and South Africa, and that the intensity, the physicality of this Scotland side is already showing on the Portuguese opposition, and that is ominous.
Much heavier Scottish pack. Scrum an area where Portugal traditionally struggle. But Samuel Marques has picked the pocket of Josh Bayliss. Hastings shoveling it out. Hutchison, one of those beautiful swooping passes to Reeds. 1v1, Reeds stumbling into the 22. Wasn't held. Horn. Crosby, one of the vice-captains for Scotland today. Here's Batty. Horn smashed as he went to clear that ball. You could hear his yelp of frustration over the referee's microphone. Portugal patrolling those fringes with real ferocity as Muncaster, the debutant. Batty, he's coughed that one up. Referee happy that went backwards as McDowell is caught in a 2-man sandwich. David Costa doing the damage. Hastings, Jordan sends it wide for Darcy Graham. A jolt of electricity when Graham gets on the ball. It's been left behind, and eventually it will be whistled as a knock-on. But a little glimpse of what Scotland have been missing.
Another glimpse of Tom Jordan, your man in picture there. Just that ability, plays most of his rugby at standoff. So clearly when he steps in at fullback, we've seen in the opening games against Fiji and South Africa, he's just as happy in the confrontational physical part of the game, but actually his distribution, his vision, his support lines, as you see there, is excellent. I thought Portugal defended really well in the tight exchanges there. Scotland are going to try and get an upper hand, try and dominate the physical collisions, wear Portugal down, which will take a little bit of time.
I think it's one of those as well, John, isn't it? Whereby these games, sometimes you expect the defence to break quicker than it actually does. That was actually a decent defensive set by Portugal for the first 4 or 5 phases, and Scotland maybe started under-resourcing the ruck. George Horn got caught at the base on one occasion, maybe one too few players in for that clear-out, because you can only really break down decent defences with quick ball. And on that occasion, Scotland just stumbled a little bit within their flow.
Inevitably, you find there's going to be a lot more space. Portugal are not going to come with a really aggressive line speed in your face, which Scotland faced last week. I think the challenge for, in particular, the back line, the ball players, is to try and flatten up, try and play really on top of that defence, try and make them make decisions flat at the gain line. Possibly in the opening 15 minutes, just a little bit too lateral, just taking a bit of time to adjust to the space that's out there in front of them.
Portuguese scrum marshalled by the great former French hooker Olivier Azam, and right on cue it milks a big penalty.
Yeah, Olivier Azam knew a thing or two about scrummaging. Rory, you played with him, I played against him. Tough man. Played hooker for Gloucester. He'll have these guys drilled. That was absolutely the right decision there. Takahito Namakawa. Scotland losing their bind and going to the ground.
Portugal mistouch, and that's costly when Darcy Graham is on the prowl. Quick ball for Horn. Muncaster has played so well early in the season for Sean Everett's Edinburgh team. Hastings, Jordan in the line, taking the space that was offered to him. Just didn't throw the pass to Reid. Scotland recycle, and Will Hurds, the try scorer. Samuel, Hastings looking for support. Portugal came through, and there was a knock-on which will deny Jose Lima a sprint for the line. Or Domingos Cabral, in fact. But a Portuguese hand just coming through on that pass, and Scotland will have the scrum.
Better first couple of phases here. Nice ball at the back. We're just going to see Adam Hastings here. That pass isn't quite on the money from Samuel to Hastings. Big left arm of Jose Madeira coming through and knocking that one forward. Cabral frustrated. He saw his name in lights. He was watching himself run towards the big screen.
I just wonder if it came off his head. I'd love to see that again. A bit of pressure there, but again, you see that pod of forwards. Alex Samuels was the ball player there. I think he just has to try and take that to the line just that bit more. They're not really engaging the Portuguese defenders. They're able to slide off, which makes the next ball receiver, in that case Adam Hastings, he's got someone right on top of him because the job inside of him hasn't quite been done.
What's coming here, Rory, the way Scotland are set up?
They'll go the way of the scrum, yeah, so it's got up on the left, go left. Here we are.
Hastings flicks it wide to Jordan, who's got rid of two. Such an athletic, powerful back wherever in that back line he's deployed. Hanging out on the left wing now as Scotland swing it to the right through Batty and Hurd, who's pierced through. Horn, McDowell and Hastings just checking and finding a little pocket of space. Nicolas Martin just asking the question if he could pile through. The answer emphatically was yes. Will Hurd does the salvage work on the ground for Scotland. Horn, Tom Jordan hugging the left touchline. There he is, bottom of your picture, looking for the kick pass. Muncaster carries instead. Horn and Crosby. Big shots coming in from Portugal. David Costa putting himself about. Darcy Graham's melted. Diogo Haas Ferreira, one of the heaviest men on the pitch, has splatted one of the smallest. But in the end, the good work is undone by an offside penalty.
I think it's absolutely the right line. I think what Darcy Graham's trying to do there, there's some very tired front row forwards, tight five forwards for Portugal. He's just trying to pick off Ferreira there, who actually does a great job to get off Horn. And puts in a pretty decent shot on Darcy Graham. He's taken a few of those. I dare say he's going to take a few more, but he's smiling anyway. He's loving being out there. I think it's the right decision. Try and pick off those players, try and engage them.
Penalty given against Haas Ferreira, but I'm not sure he cares. He's just absolutely obliterated Darcy Graham, who in fairness has popped straight back up to his feet with a smile on his face. But Darcy knows that front rowers don't get their moment in the lights the way that Has Ferreira did just there.
It's worth conceding a penalty if you get to melt an opposition winger as a tight head, isn't it?
And then they get to scrum again, which he's probably quite happy about.
It's the first Portuguese player to play in England's Gallagher Premiership, by the way. Diogo Has Ferreira played for Sale when he was at Myerscough College. Holding up his end of the scrum pretty well there. Bayliss goes digging and then breaks to the right. Good footwork from the Bath number 8. Horn fishes it out. McDowell fizzing it to Hastings, who delayed the pass to Reed. Luca Martin was quickly there.
Great
Harrison.
tackle.
It's David Costa with that chop tackle again, the loose head prop. Jamie Batty on the rumble. Little bit isolated, and Portugal do get their rewards. Fabulous work over the ball, and Portugal are off and running. Samuel Marques in his own 22. This is the beautiful chaos that Portugal bring, but they've had to kick it away, which has ceded rather the point of taking the quick tap when they could have gone to touch. However, Samuel Marques, like a wolverine over the ball, hasn't quite done enough to steal it back.
Yeah, Scotland
and
lucky
Horn
there.
sees a stacked short side where Hutchinson is lurking and searching for an offload. Horn again, Graham again. Simal Bento up defending from fullback. Batty onto the deck, and Crosby picks it up. No real flow to this game, very little structure. Lurching from line break to penalty to knock on to loose pass. Hastings using his muscles this time. Harrison started 2 pro games in a row for the first time this season. Young Patrick Harrison struggled to break into that Edinburgh first team despite the skills and the talent that Gregor Townsend and Sean Everett have long identified. McDowell just trying to bring some calm and some pragmatism. Pinto is back there, and Scotland will take a big territorial gain from that exchange.
And the thing you saw Adam Hastings there, he got the ball out the back, he didn't want the ball out the back, and he carried it, and you could almost see the frustration in him. You wouldn't have seen on camera, we had it right in front of us. Speaking to some of the players afterwards, they're lacking direction, they're lacking go forward. They've got to still try and play to structure, find their own structure, really try and impose that onto this Portugal defence, because at the moment they're not really doing it.
I don't think they're earning the right to go wide and play into the wide channels. I think the Portuguese defence, they're getting up off the line. We've seen the likes of David Costa and Nicolas Martin with these chopped tackles, just taking the legs away. And as a result, Scotland just aren't being able to create that momentum. They're still going into these wide channels with the ball out the back. And the Portuguese defence is holding firm. It's almost one of the dangers of scoring 2 tries early, and this was obviously the first incursion into the Portuguese 22. Will Hurd dotting down for a 5-pointer on that occasion after, you know, within the first sort of 5 minutes. And then from there, the second try that came was from the turnover, an offload going to Stafford McDowell in behind the Portuguese attack, and from there it's a 50-metre run in for the skipper. But Scotland have struggled a little bit, John, to find this cohesion that Gregor Townsend was hoping for. And for me at the moment, it is just based upon not getting that gain line and that go forward.
Yeah, I think they're just a bit anxious. There is a lot of space out there. They're trying to get it there just that bit too quick, but they've got to win these physical collisions.
Scotland again with another strong attacking platform inside this Portuguese half. Line speed from the Portuguese defence up quickly, taking legs from under bodies. Tom Jordan, the latest, to feel the full effect of those green and white torpedoes. Hurd throwing a little dummy. Samuel. Hastings assessing his options and hitting McDowell on the short line. Again, Nicolas Martin all over the Scottish carriers. Aaron Reed's looking to free the hands. Scotland going from side to side, from left to right. Can you punch a hole in this stout Portuguese defence? Not through Samuel. Horn. Hutchinson wrapped up, 2-man tackle. Madeira and Couto in there. Nicolas Martin ripped it, but Hutchinson's knee was on the ground and players had to let him go.
And it looks like that message which we expected or suspected was coming from Adam Hastings, has got to the players, because you saw there not many balls at the back. Rory Hutchinson taking it up, Stafford McDowell taking up the front ball option. That understanding of Portugal defending very well up front. We might not be able to break them 1, 2, 3, 4 phases, but we've got to be comfortable to go take them to 10, take them to 15 phases if we have to.
It's about getting led in the legs, isn't it? This is really good defence. There again, Madeira together with Martin getting Hutchinson, but as soon as Rory Hutchinson almost froze, and then he just had this one powerful movement, got his knee to the ground, that then makes it a tackle. Tacklers have to release and let him play it, and Adam Hastings has belted one into the corner. Great attacking platform.
Murrayfield's been a little subdued over the past few minutes. Scotland looking to crank up the volume inside this iconic old arena once more. Crabbing towards the touchline, but Harrison, the rudder in the middle. He's been cocooned somewhere in that great steaming thicket of bodies. Scotland with penalty advantage, and they'll need it.
Come from 5. 5 and 3.
It's Duarte Turgal coming into the side.
Portuguese side are loving this, aren't they? They're loving this challenge, particularly the physicality around scrum time, around maul time. You even saw there Samuel Marks grinning from ear to ear, loving the battle.
Round 2. Harrison to Crosby unchallenged. Scotland set the drive. Crosby roaring the commands, issuing the orders. Harrison with it tucked under a left bicep, creeping towards the line. They crash the ground, and it's a penalty try. Portugal thought they'd stem the bleeding, but Takehito Namikawa heads for the posts and then reaches for his pocket.
Number 5, senior back collapsing. Yeah.
And it's gone against Duarte Turgal, collapsing a tri-bound maul. And the second row's off to the naughty step for 10.
Yeah, so hard to defend for Portugal there, especially no contest in the air. Scotland got their lifters in early, got the maul long, got the ball to the back and got it moving early. And you suspected, just with the body shapes of the Portuguese defenders, that it was going to go over. I guess the double whammy now is that they conceded the penalty try and the yellow card, which has to follow when that happens.
4th yellow card in 12 tests for Duarte Turgal. He's combative, but sometimes his discipline can see him on the wrong side of the officials. Oh, and back to McDowell. That is Scotland's exit weapon of choice today. Not to touch this time. Simao Bento from deep, looking to cut Scotland's chasers open. Marks, she'll be 36 next month, but still so influential, so vital to the Portuguese cause, the Béziers scrum half. Appleton cutting back inside, looking for a soft shoulder or two, running into one of the biggest out there, his own tight head prop. Here's Luca Marta, the big tall winger, popping it on to David Costa. Muncaster hunting for the steal, not quite getting it. Cabral, Nicolas Martin, lovely. Good hands to Couto. Did a lot of sevens for Portugal, the number 8. Simao Bento has to cut in off the touchline. Portugal finding some fluency here. Cabral, an insurance broker away from rugby back in Lisbon. Just illustrates the difference between the resources these teams have got to play with. 7-style stuff from Os Lobos, the Wolves of Portugal. Nicolas Martin with that orange scrum guard. Scotland have to let him go. Slow ball this time. Cabral, Ash Ferreira, and Storti. He's got wheels to match his guile. Lima with the power. Portugal swinging it from side to side, seeking out a weak spot in this Scottish defence. Phase number 9, most by either team so far. Luca Martin running a tight inside line off Appleton. Marks, Cabral, oh, it's loose, and Nicolas Martin took it off his bootlaces. Somehow he's still in possession. Marques again. Jose Madeira running backwards. Couldn't get outside the Scottish blitz. And Marques this time looking for the kick, but Will Hurd coming through quickly. Lima does the litter picking.
This is just where you need the experience of Samuel Marques just to put your foot on it and work out. You've gone backwards 25 metres. It's just where the lack of experience at this level, albeit Scotland's discipline. Just, I think it is Ben Muncaster just getting caught in that ruck, not able to get out as the tackler. But there were moments there from Portugal, moments of nice play, but they just lost shape. Scotland's defence managed to create a bit of dominance in there, but Portugal just need to be able to work out how they regenerate when they lose that shape.
I think harder man down. I don't think Scotland will be very happy with that defensive set. Just looking at the energy, very lethargic getting off the line. Remember, they're a man up. You really hope to squeeze this Portuguese side, who are lacking a bit of game sense, how and where to play. But if you don't bring line speed, you're not putting pressure on them. Very easy at that point to look after the ball.
Lovely slow motion sequence coming from our camera operators round the grounds. The emotion writ large on Duarte Torgal's face. Plays for the same club, De Rito, in Lisbon, with David Costa, the loosehead prop, who's been among the busiest men out there today for Simon Mannix's team. A dozen tackles for the front rower in just over half an hour of rugby, as Luka Begic, talented young hooker who grew up in the Parisian suburbs, like a lot of the men on show today for Portugal. Portuguese, French, born and raised in France, like Samuel Marques, like the Martin brothers, Luca and Nicolas. But with Portuguese family, very proud of the country they represent at the top level. Begic came through the Racing 92 academy system before moving on as he grew and developed. He's with Mont de Marsan, the French Pro D2 now, the second division of French rugby. And he's filling that number 2 jersey worn by the famous Mike Tager, the hooker you might well remember from the World Cup, with the iconic shaved head and bushy beard. A couple of real blockbuster moments from him as one of the cult heroes of that tournament. And Portugal scalped Fiji. But Begic, mummified, bandaged up and ready to go again. Nicolas Martin at the front. And Portugal quickly get the body positions low and dynamic. And onwards they go, but that's not going to be allowed. A bit of obstruction, just shifting that point of contact. John, talk us through why that wasn't legal.
Yeah, the maul breaks off, which sometimes you see. But obviously, if the maul breaks off, it's no longer a maul. And if you hit someone in front of you, you're essentially blocking person access to make that tackle, which is exactly what happened there. The maul broke off, formed almost a flying wedge. The ball is clearly at the back of the maul, so anyone tackling into the front of it, as you'll see here, the maul breaks off. Scotland take away the front of the maul. The ball's right at the back. As soon as contact's made, he's essentially blocking that ball. It's a real nuance to the rule, because you could argue to people who don't watch a lot of rugby, well, that's the whole point of a maul.
Portugal yet to breach the Scottish 22, and Scotland through the freewheeling Aaron Reid. Jordan chucking up the inside, Graham on the outside, and Reid just couldn't link with his opposite winger.
Good first phase. I just think he needs to flatten up a bit here. Scotland take the quick line out of the front. Lovely pass by George Horne. They get to width here. I just think Aaron needs to go flatten up here. He's got to try and invest, try and interest Martin's there. Get the ball into 2 hands before that, because then he tries to force the offload where Darcy Graham's got about a yard of space. If you just flatten up, straighten up and make the pass earlier, I think Scotland would have been in there.
Now Portugal going to have a crack from deep again here with young Andre Cunha, a 20-year-old flanker, who part of Portugal's under-20 squad, which will take on the likes of the Czech Republic in the coming weeks. Marques over the shoulder. A space back there. Darcy Graham underneath it, quickly swallowed up, but an offside penalty given against Portugal. That's costly.
Yeah, that's a bit of a killer. 2 and 11, so Begic and Martin in front of the kicker on that kick chase. It was a good one from Marques, actually. Darcy Graham went up for it, caught it, was tackled pretty much man and ball. We'll just see here on the replay, it's Martin on the far side, I've seen them not given, but on that occasion, don't know if it's come from assistant referee. I think it maybe has done from Luke Pearce on that far side there in front of the kicker, and it gives Scotland their best attacking platform for a while.
Remember, Portugal still down to 14 players, but still making a mess of that Scottish line-out. Samuel Marks, like a mongoose in a viper pit, manages to get out of trouble, and George Horn majestically has stopped that ball from heading out of touch. And here's Darcy Graham. Oh, what a line! How has he done that? Darcy Graham finds space where none existed, finds sweet Murrayfield turf, and touches down for the Scottish try-scoring, record-equalling touchdown. 29 for Darcy Graham.
It's a brilliant, opportunistic finish. Great stuff there by George Horn to keep that ball in play, to keep it live, because it came off Mark's desperate clearance. There's Darcy Graham. He's got two defenders in front of him. The third defender isn't there, he's switched off. Darcy Graham sees that, steps inside both of the defenders right in front of him, through the hole, and from there the afterburners are on. Under the sticks he goes. Scotland will be relieved because they've had two really poor attacking phases. One first phase, Reid put it into touch. The second one, a lost line out. Darcy Graham makes something from nothing.
As he so often does in his vintage Darcy Graham.
Hastings bangs over the extras. Let's admire this again, shall we? Slippery, very slippery Darcy Graham. And that try, Scotland's 54th in 2024, a new record for them in a calendar year, outstripping the 2023 benchmark. And there's the reaction, the exasperation on the Portuguese bench. 26-0. So one more try for Darcy Graham, and he will stand alone as Scotland's top men's try scorer of all time. Him and Duan van der Merwe have been duking it out for that record over the past few weekends. And here's Jordan, headlong into Luca Martin, gets rid of him. Hutchison on the inside, the kick in the chase for George Horn to go scurrying and scampering after. The bounce almost outfoxes everybody. Shimal Bento does well to recover, but Portugal have had to gallop some 70 metres back downfield, and they're trapped again, suffocating in Coffin Corner. 4 minutes of the first half left, and March takes the opportunity to kick it dead.
Well, having seen Scotland receive the kick-off and McDowell put it on his left peg a number of occasions, this time they go to attack. Hutchinson chips over the top. The bounce of the ball is tricky for Simao Bento at the back. From here, just trying to cover off, comes off the knee, does well to get up. But there's Hutchinson on that secondary effort, pinning the Portuguese down in Coffin Corner. And again, just starting to build this territorial pressure back. Paddy Harrison manages to hit double top this time.
Hastings introducing Muncaster, carrying with real fury over the top of Lima. Hutchison, slick handling, Hastings to Graham. Hastings got clattered as he gave that pass, taking punishment on the line. Hastings. Horn and Reid opening up a little for Scotland now in the final moments of this first half. Portugal not rolling away, so Scotland do have the penalty advantage. Jordan sending it wide. Hutchison, he's got Bayliss with him. Bayliss is rapid, and Bayliss is scoring. The gears click into place. The build-up lovely. And Josh Bayliss with a rip-roaring finish in the corner.
Yeah, the pick of the bunch so far. Scotland just managing to get the continuity of their play. We saw some big carries, some abrasive carries from number of the forwards, but how good's that pass across the face? Then the cat flap out the back from Rory Hutchinson, who's growing as the game goes on. Look at this here. Knows that Josh Bayliss outside of him. Well finished by Josh Bayliss.
Spent a chunk of his childhood out in Borneo, Josh Bayliss, where his dad was working in palm oil. He's now, of course, a Gallagher Premiership regular with Bath. And that his third try in 9 tests for Scotland. Hastings from the touchline. It's a beauty, but let's just admire the build up to this try again and some of the work of Tom Jordan, Rory.
Yeah, it was sensational. The plaudits will go to Bayliss, but actually it was right in the midfield. It was a free hit for Scotland. It was penalty advantage, and you see the ball here. Hastings hits Tom Jordan. A little bit of footwork, just does enough to be able to hold up Lucas Martin on the outside. And that cat flat ball, as John mentioned, by Rory Hutchinson. Players now practicing that, understanding that sometimes you tuck the ball under your arm, being able to get that pass away, that final pass on the money. Hutchinson to Bayliss. Scotland finding their flow.
Final minute of the half, and Stafford McDowell again. Every time Scotland have been down in that bottom left corner, it has been Stafford McDowell size 12s to get them out of it.
A nod to Adam Hastings as well for the conversion, actually, because he set the ball up, and I don't know if it fell off the tee, but he had, by the time he got it back on the tee, he had 10 seconds to go, walked back, nudged it over from the touchline. He'll be delighted by that.
Final play of the half, final chance for Portugal to trouble the scoreboard. They're into the 22 for the first time here, taking them almost an entire half of rugby to get into what's known as the red zone in this sport. Luka Begic has the ball under his safe command. Scotland drag it down illegally. So free shot for the Wolves. Appleton, Cabral, Storty, he's the danger man, but he can't run without his legs. Rory Hutchinson upends him. Marsh, dummying, conducting traffic, out the back door to Madeira. Marsh again. Cabral, Lima looking to cut back against the grain, but finding only some muscular specimens. And back will come for the penalty. Watch Samuel Marsh here.
Number 4, changing line.
His pack might be saying, stick this in the corner again. Please don't tap it. Their maul looks really efficient. We've seen Nicolas Martins. He's reigning supremely in the line-out. So the last one went to him. They managed to set up a really strong maul. Got the length to it and put a lot of pressure on the Scotland pack there, and they had to commit the infringement.
Samuel Marks actually retired after the Rugby World Cup, but Simon Mannix, who coached them at Pau for a couple of seasons in France, convinced him to keep on trucking, keep on fighting. 36 in a few weeks' time. He's stuck the ball in the corner, and Portugal rev the engine, and the Portuguese fans beneath us rise. Scotland stem the first surge. March is in there. It all crashes to ground. Where on earth's the ball? March is going to fish it out here. Wide it goes. Appleton, Cabral, queuing up to the left. Lima goes wide. It's awkward, but it's taken by Luca Martin. Pops it on the outside. Simão Bento. What a finish. Do Portugal have their try? No, they don't. It's been ruled out very swiftly. Takehito Namikawa in connection with Luke Pearce, the far side assistant referee. Happy that he was over the plane of touch as he went to score. But penalty for offside in the lead-up. So March hoofs it out, and Portugal will wheel their tanks into place for another assault.
Steve Tandy, the defensive coach, will be desperate for Scotland to hold out Portugal here. Os Lobos are continuing to build that bit of pressure in the final moments.
Almost 3 minutes beyond the 40. Clock has long since merged into red. Scotland stopped the first drive, but Big H eyeing that line closely, and he's tumbling through. Portugal have a try at Murrayfields. And Luka Begic, 60% tape, 40% try scorer. with that touchdown that will warm the hearts of Oślobos, backed by a raucous and hardy band of travelling fans inside Murrayfield.
You can see Begic and March at the back there talking. I think Samuels March wanted the ball just that bit earlier, but he manages to hold it onto the back of the maul. And you've got to say they deserve it. You've got to say they really deserve it. They put that Scottish pack to task there. Well organised, well drilled. Got the maul set up and took it over. But it just comes from, and we've seen it time and time again, regardless of the game or team you're watching, ill discipline can cost you so dearly, and that's where you end up on your 5-metre line defending against a well-drilled pack.
Samuel March, it's a cracker. Portugal end the opening half with a roar of defiance. Will it be a roar of resurgence? They've got a veritable mountain to climb thanks to the men in shot. Josh Bayliss with a try, Darcy Graham equaling that Scottish try-scoring record. He'll be hungry to set a new benchmark in the second 40. Half-time at Scottish Gas Murrayfield. It's Scotland in command. They lead Portugal by 33 points to 7.
Compare sponsors the Autumn Nation series on TNT Sports.
We put everything into winning the World Cup.
We're meant to win. We've never talked about anything else.
You're part of something incredibly special.
And no one had planned on what might happen afterwards.
As soon as you've put your guard down, this dark thing is coming to get you.
The pressure was enormous on us.
It was just brutal, really.
If we can pave the way for the next generation as well, then surely that's going to be a good thing.
Unbreakable, England 2003, Friday the 29th of November.
Video analysis was so key, you know. One game, I actually managed to find out that my opposition winger was a little slower to turn, so that when the kick went in behind him, that gave me such a competitive advantage. In business, you're always trying to look for that little bit of knowledge, that little bit of analytical insight. The better you do that, the more you're able to succeed.
Get game-changing insights powered by Sage Copilot, your new AI productivity assistant. Sage, helping business flow.
What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's the only thing that there's just to love. What the world needs now is love, sweet love.
John Lewis is closing in 15 minutes.
What are you looking for?
Something for you.
You're not going to find it.
Is it a politician? What's come and help me?
Sal, come join us.
I can't.
Fitted, I'm sure, but love
This is mine.
Yes, there's love if you want it. Don't sound like no sonnet, my lord.
What took you so long? You.
Managing type 2 diabetes just got easier with Dexcom ONE+. Easier to see your glucose numbers with no finger pricks. Easier to make treatment decisions anytime, anywhere. Easier to live life your way. Dexcom ONE+. Make more possible.
To make every second mean more than the last. To feel the potential in each moment. The heart bursting. The body tingling. Mind reaching. Time comes alive Each minute, a springboard to the next. Not just telling time, living in it. Alive in time. Grand Seiko.
Quidco gives you cashback every time you shop on over 5,000 brands. It always pays to Quidco. Sign up and start saving today. Visit quidco.com.
You found it then?
Of course I did. Good boy.
Go.Compare sponsors the Autumn Nation series on TNT Sports.
It's a glorious evening here in the Scottish capital, Edinburgh, and it's half-time here at Scottish Gas Murrayfield, Scotland, leading by 33 points to 7 against Portugal. Well, later on tonight, we're heading to New York for the biggest UFC fight of the year. John Jones is making his long-awaited return to the octagon, and he's defending his heavyweight belt. Miocic. You can watch UFC 309 from 1 AM. It's live on TNT Sports box office, 18 and over. You can scan the QR code on the screen just now for more information and all the T's and C's. Here, though, Scotland came flying out of the traps against Portugal, but here they were given a gift. Stafford McDowell, first game as captain, and he gets a try. But Portugal did stick with it. They didn't give up in this one, and just before half-time, Lucas Begic got a try for the visitors. So advantage Scotland, 33 points to 7. Ryan, it's been an enjoyable game, hasn't it? But from Scotland's perspective, they got on the scoreboard early on, and Darcy Graham, he's back today, and he's added another try. We knew he would.
We did, and I can see Duhan up there. He's absolutely furious that he's gone and taken it. But the skill there from George Horne, just to keep this ball in, it's really well worked, and this is what Scotland want. They want to keep the ball alive, this unstructured play, and that's what part of this is. But look at Darcy Graham. He knows those defenders are thinking he's going to try and go around them, spots a gap on the inside, steps back in. The low centre of gravity from Darcy Graham. You just knew he was going to score. It's just how many today, and he took it really well. So he'll be wanting a few more, though. He wants to just get out of distance.
He's away at the top, yeah, that's the thing. He's now joined with Duhan van der Merwe at the top of that try-scoring table. That was the 4th try for Scotland, and Josh Bayliss got the 5th. And really a lovely run of play from this Tom Jordan and Hutchison as well.
And some really nice play. Even the stuff that myself and Barks walked through at the beginning, so it's all worked out.
It's as if they were watching.
I can't believe it. So the way this has worked, though, the ball out the back, you just knew Rory Hutchison gets the little ankle tap here, but he's done well to hold on to it, and it came out the cat flap. And that man there, Josh Bayliss, he's played on the wing, believe it or not, stood in on the wing for Bath, so he knows a thing or two about scoring tries. And yeah, another great score for Scotland. I think they'll be happy with the way they've gone so far. I think Gregor will be annoyed at that try at the end, because I was just about to say it, 43 minutes on the clock. I said Scotland need to keep them out. They need to make sure that Portugal don't get any points on the board. But Begic at the end goes over for a try. So happy, Scotland haven't had to do a huge amount. And there we have it, Scotland in the lead. Yeah, Scotland in the lead, 33 points to 7. But you have to say, Portugal got their try at the end of that half, and they have really stuck at it. 106 tackles in that first half alone. What lies in store in the second period? Stay with us. All of the action is on the way after this.
Go.Compare sponsors the Autumn Nation series on TNT Sports.
The all-new Temper Pro, our most adaptive mattress ever. Born from NASA technology, billions of ultra-sensitive cells relieving even more pressure for ultimate comfort and support. Now available with SmartCool technology. Temper, The future of sleep is here.
Hello, you. Looks like you could be missing out on savings on your mobile bill. It's time you woke up. At USwitch, our experts negotiate with providers to get exclusive Black Friday season deals, so you could switch and save. USwitch. We put you first.
I know you love their classic, but
I'm all about Yazoo's new thick and creamy.
Oh, Yazoo, shake it up.
TUI presents the relaxing escape. Tropical beaches, gourmet restaurants, and swim-up suites. Your next relaxing escape sorted. TUI, live happy, atoll protected.
Well, I feel just like a child. Well, I feel just like a child. Well, I feel just like a child. From my womb to my tomb, I guess I'll always be a child.
PlayStation.
We believe success isn't measured in wins and losses. It was never about being the best. It's about being your best. With Garmin smartwatches, every day is a new opportunity to beat yesterday.
Roll up, one and all. Ready yourself for an entrancing delight. A mouth-marvelingly taste-tacular, wonderful sight. Uncannily, suckably, soothingly sumptuous, mysteriously, mentally, tongue-twirlingly scrumptious.
I see great flavor in your future.
Marvel in the menthol with Jakeman's of Boston since 1907.
We would love for you to be our alphabet.
Enjoying Nescafe Gold Blend is about much more than its smooth taste. It's about something bigger, because you join millions of others choosing a coffee that's on a carbon reduction journey, using coffee grounds to help power its factories. Expect more from every cup. Nescafe Gold Blend.
The championship will go to the wire. Paco Bagnaia on his quest to make it 3 in a row. Jorge Martin in front of his home crowd. What a race we've got. Who can handle the boiling point?
Go.Compare sponsors the Autumn Nation Series on TNT Sports.
Second half still to come here at Murrayfield, but afterwards we've got another huge game with Craig Doyle and the guys down at the Allianz Stadium, Twickenham.
Welcome to Twickenham, where after things finish up in Scotland, old friends reunite. Actually, it's a complete lie. They're not friends. England and South Africa absolutely hate each other, and they go at it live on TNT this afternoon. England, well, they are desperate for a win. To do that, they got to beat the double world champions. Easy. See you later.
Very easy indeed. Not friends and not to be missed. Before that, though, we've got the second half here at Scottish Gas Murrayfield. Scotland leading by 33 points to 7 at the interval. Lots more rugby still to come. Let's head up to the commentary box and rejoin Rory Lawson, John Barclay and Jamie Lyle.
Night falling over Edinburgh, the moon standing proud over Arthur's Seat, and the shadows beginning to lengthen. One change to tell you about at the break: the man in shot, Antonio Andrade, wearing jersey 19, has come on for the stricken Jose Madeira, who is off with a bit of ice on his shoulder. Bottom left picture of your screen, down in the dugouts. And Scotland very much in command. 26-point advantage, and already 4 of the Portuguese players are into double figures on the tackle count. 125 they've had to attempt in that opening 40 minutes. Adam Hastings kicks off the decisive 40 minutes of famous grouse Autumnation Series rugby in the Scottish capital. The floodlights burning brighter, the afternoon melting into evening, and Portugal looking to play from deep through Simal Binto. We saw that attacking ambition throughout the Rugby World Cup. We saw the way that Portugal under Patrice Lagisquet had them playing the intent, the expansive rugby, the excitement and the offloads. He knew they didn't have the cattle, the power up front to live with some of the heavyweight nations, but they had the skills and the wherewithal to bamboozle the likes of Georgia, Fiji. Strong performances too against the Australians and the Welsh, and this is a big year for them, with trips to face the Springboks back in July in Bloemfontein, Edinburgh, to play Scotland, all building to their Rugby Europe Championship, which is the tier below the Six Nations. Championship runs at the same time, but this year also acting crucially as the qualifying vehicle for Rugby World Cup 2027. So big old season for Portugal. Muncaster leaves the ball behind, and Tomas Appleton, the Portuguese skipper, picks it up. Begic, bouncing ball back to Rafael Storti. 50-22's on here, but Tom Jordan, who's top carrier in the game so far with 9, fields it well and lashes it off the pitch.
Yeah, and it's a first phase strike move that's not gone to hand for Scotland there. We saw a couple in the first half, definitely something that would have been touched on at half time. You just see ball off the top there, Adam Hastings into the midfield, little shoulder ball. Yeah, didn't catch who that was from Portugal, but managed just get a hand in there in the way to block it. And this is Simon Mannix, the Portuguese head coach, will be delighted with them finishing with a score at the end of the first half. He'll put a huge amount of focus on this third quarter, hoping that his side can stay in this fight in the third quarter, knowing that inevitably the professionalism of the Scotland squad and the depth on the bench will add a lot to Scotland's power in that final quarter.
Nothing wrong with the Portuguese distribution. Domingos Cabral firing it out to the new man Andrade. Cabral and Costa. Appleton, oh, it's loose. It's hoovered up by a marauding George Horn. Cabral and Martin drag him down 4 shorts. Reid will pick it up. Give it is the cry of his teammates. Reid burrows on alone. Darcy Graham screaming for it wide on the right, out of picture. He's unmarked, far towards the touchline. Portugal fanning out now to cover him, as you can see. And Scotland go left. Reid cutting inside. Manhandled by Rafael Storti. Horn. Batty looking for his first Scotland try and finding it. From nightclub bouncer to abattoir worker, now to private pilot, and at last, at the 35th time of asking, Scotland try scorer.
Yeah, Portugal did so well there to come back and catch George Horn. Portugal haven't learned from the first half, just overplaying, going backwards, forcing passes. George Horn sitting high in the defensive line, as you so often see good scrum halves do. Doesn't quite have the wheels to get over. I thought Scotland had maybe missed the opportunity after the line break. The opportunity was to go right. Darcy Graham and a whole load of others in so much space, but the power game works. One out carry, you've got to say it's pretty soft defence from Portugal. Caught high, fatigue can't be a factor. 3 minutes into the second half. Kuta there, just too high. Jamie Batty drives him over.
Not this time from Adam Hastings. The look of exasperation, but Jamie Batty, Scotland try scorer at last. Spoken so bravely about his battle with mental health in the past during COVID lockdown. He was actually homeless for a while growing up in Sochi in central Scotland. Spoken with such candour and courage about the struggles he faced as a young man. And now here he is at the top of his sport. Samuel lining up Cunha. Horn, Hastings. Scotland looking to play from deep here. Hutchinson out to Jordan, who injects the pace with that high running action, but Darcy Graham, well, the pass was read and the interception made by Martin. Marques, Cabral. Can Portugal file a counter blow here? Darcy Graham still down injured, out of shot as Nicolas Martin shovels it on to Storti. Hastings manfully brings him to deck. Oh, and a brilliant steal in there from Josh Bayliss, whose long levers were all over that ball. Soft hands to Patrick Harrison, into Big Each. Hooker on hooker. Scotland with close to 60% possession in the 45 minutes we've had so far. And with their 6 tries to show for it. Horn for Reid to tear after. Watch him motor, but brilliant take from Raffaele Storti. He's good in the air. Well, we saw that in the World Cup. Pass is loose though, and scooped up by Martin, the other winger. A couple of familiar names missing from that back line. Geronimo Portella's on a sabbatical from rugby, the fly half, and fullback Nuno Souzagej, who was one of the stars of the show at that World Cup, is out injured. So too Rodrigo Marta. And Portugal with the penalty advantage, playing ping pong, and back we will come.
Yeah, I spoke to Olivier Azam, the Portuguese forwards coach, just before the match. He said that, you know, last week they had some players for the USA game who they've not got now, and vice versa. They're having to pay a lot of respect towards the French clubs during this international window, knowing the power of the clubs have on the players. But they'll get their whole squad together again in February with this Rugby Europe Championship to really put that focus on the qualification for the Rugby World Cup in 2027.
Luca Marta, who plays for Agen, and just as Rory was saying, he's a player who his previous club Blagnac went bust. He signed for Agen and he chose to stay with them rather than go and play the Springboks this summer. It's the pool and the necessities that some of these players are battling with. Manuel Cardoso Pinto has come on for him. He's a live wire, but Portugal's line out on the blink, and Alex Craig comes fee-fi-fo fumming off the back of that. Hastings, Hutchinson zips that pass out to Graham. Lovely action on it, or was it? No, being given as a forward pass, and Murrayfield's ripple of excitement becomes a groan of despair.
Just seeing more touches. There's the line-out steal from Bayliss in the first place. It's a good carry actually by Alex Craig, who can be very abrasive, plays down at the Scarlets. Definitely an opportunity for him. Just this ability for Roy Hutchinson to really flatten up. I think that's a pretty harsh call. He's taken the ball flat. Yeah, it's never forward that. I don't think that's a forward pass. Very quick on the whistle there, but you're just seeing him, that ability to step up, and he takes the ball so flat. We saw it in the first half with Tom Jordan throwing the flat pass across, taking out the winger. Winger at full gas. Really encouraging signs for him.
As well as Stafford McDowell and Rory Hutchinson are playing, is it too much to ask for Scotland and Townsend to break up that Tuipulotu-Jones access that's been so impressive in midfield, John?
I think if it's not broke, you don't fix it. I think that's probably one of the strongest pairings, the strongest partnerships. If you look across that team, you know, the back row is very established. The front row is certainly the same, but I think that centre combination with Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu and Finn Russell pulling the strings is creating a formidable partnership, and it's, you know, it's stressed last week, one of the best defences in world rugby against South Africa.
Vasco Batista on wearing 20 for Federico Couto. His first job is to scoop it up for Marques. And Cabral lead up quickly, but Cardoso Pinto gets rid of him. Beautiful ball out the back to Storti, who's stopping and starting with that staccato running style. Nicolas Martin leaves it for March. Tomas Appleton. And Cunha. March looking for the kick, looking for some willing runners, but finding only the touchline.
Better game management from Portugal there. Just losing a bit of structure. You'd like to see a bit more of that. We want to see this attack in rugby. As Pinto throws the speculative over-the-top ball, but just that game management, understanding when to kick, understanding how to kick, understanding a little bit how to exert pressure. You don't necessarily have to do it all the time with ball in hand.
Three-man line-out for Scotland, won handsomely by Alex Samuel, who's had a promising debut in the engine room, a big Glasgow Warrior. Horn to McDowell, familiar symphony. Not a great deal of ground made, and Portugal can come again.
Stafford McDowell knew that he didn't get that one out the screws with a touch finder. Just only 15 metres from their own line. Gregor Townsend, I'm sure he will be starting to think about the changes he may make from the bench. Actually, there's a bit of activity down on the touchline now for Scotland. Great opportunity for a number of these players to come off the bench. It's been far from perfect so far, as expected, as you do expect when there are the number of changes, but Scotland so far within this second half have managed to get that Jamie Batty score, but will be very keen to hold out Portugal on this attack.
And here comes a trio of fresh faces for Scotland. Both props are going to be replaced here. Rory Sutherland, British and Irish line not so very long ago. The hulking Ewan Johnson, 6'8", 6'9" tall, of Oyonnax, and Premiership champion Elliot Miller-Mills. So two try-scoring props have run their race. 50 minutes in the legs and lungs of Will Hurd and Jamie Batty, and Alex Craig of Scarlets. Although perhaps a move to Scotland will be in the offing for Alex Craig. Certainly of interest to both pro teams, Edinburgh and Glasgow, as his Scarlets deal comes to an end next summer. Also heading for the touchline. Elliot Miller-Mills thought about retiring from rugby a couple of years ago. He was at Wasps when the club very sadly went to the wall. He's got two international rugby playing sisters as well, one who played for Scotland, one who played for England. Rich sporting pedigree in the Miller-Mills stock, and he's found a welcome home at Northampton Saints, helped them to the Gallagher Premiership title just 6 months or so ago. And there's a lovely vista of Edinburgh, all her majesty, all her finery, all her history, with the Castle Rock standing over the skyline. What will Portugal be saying here, Rory? It's been a frustrating one for them. Can they try and shift the dial here?
Well, they've definitely taken confidence from breaking what was seemingly an impregnable Scotland defence just before half-time, and they got that maul going. Their line-out has been effective, both sides of the ball. They've won 9 of their 10 line-outs so far, and they'll just look to exert some pressure. I expect them to go to the maul once again and try to build out some pressure on this Scotland maul, because it has creaked at times. It did creak with that score from Begic just before half-time. So they'll just want to try and build themselves into the game and build belief, generate belief. The opening 10 minutes, they've conceded 1 score, but they have had a bit of territory since.
Tell you, Federico Couto's spell on the touchline in a tracksuit with a protein shake was very short-lived. He's back on because Andre Cunha, the blindside flanker, a dozen tackles today, has come a cropper. And Couto, on his return, unable to take that line out. So set-piece niggles continue for Portugal, as they did against the USA last weekend. Stole 3 American balls, lost 4 on their own throw.
See Alex Samuels getting up here. Does really well to get up that quickly, actually. Disrupts the line out. Been very good, actually, out today.
It's also an enormous second row pairing for Portugal to throw over here. Ewan Johnson, Alex Samuel, 1 6'8", 1 6'10". Begic manages it this time, and Couto still got plenty of juice in his boots. Appleton And Lima, Darcy Graham went for the interception. It's been given as a deliberate knock-on. Takehito Namikawa having a good look at this one, just maybe thinking of a yellow card. There was a line break in the offing for Scotland.
Scotland was stressed there. When you see wingers doing that, they tend to be stressed. Great first carry by Federico Cuta.
Not a yellow just yet, but maybe have a look and see if he's about to go through the hole. Okay. So at the moment, just a penalty, but look for possibly more. Okay.
So this is an example of a really experienced official
Got a big, careful. Okay, thank you. Okay.
in Luke Pearce, just helping guide a newer referee. And we are going to have a look at this formally with TM O'Brien McNeice.
Just a penalty for me.
Okay, Takehito Namikawa happy with one replay. What do you make of it, John?
Yeah, I think it's the right decision to just slow it down, make sure they get it right. What Luke Pearce is saying there is we need to check if he's going to go through the hole, if he's going to score a try there. There was cover coming across from Scotland, though, so right decision being made in the end.
Portugal made it into the USA 22 on 13 occasions last weekend. They were turned over 10 times, averaging just 1.3 points per visit. Let's see this again.
Yeah, see Darcy Graham in the yellow boots and the headgear. The question that Luke Pearce came to ask was the player outside him going to be going through the hole? I think there's enough cover in place.
Oh, Martin, was he taken in the air at the front? He leapt to take that disguise, trick play. Marques to Couto. Slow ball for the Portuguese, slowed by Ben Muncaster. And Sutherland strips it in the tackle. Oh, it's stripped forwards.
Yeah, just stripped out in the tackle. I think it was Rory Sutherland in the number 17 jersey with the tackle. There's him making the tackle there, and actually, as it was, Martin just come to ground, I think, his left foot. Here Rory Sutherland is again, and you see the strip here, right arm. Manages to get that ball clear, drags it forward, so it just goes down as a knock-on. It's a tremendous position here to attack for him, though. This is one whereby Olivier Azam, if he were on there in that hooker position, would be revving the engines. He would be having a word with every one of the 7 forwards to say this ball is not coming out. He'd be telling me as scrum half, this ball is not coming out. We're going over the top of these guys.
It's so hard to defend as a back row here. Your props are telling you, you've got to stay on the scrum here, we need you. But you also know as a back row forward, your 10 and your 12s are probably saying to you, I need you as well here. You've got to get off. You don't have the luxury of recovery time with the try line so close behind you.
And as an attacking scrum half, that's exactly what you want. You want to look up and see that the opposition back rowers are having to scrummage, because then you can steal a march on them. You can get either that pass away to give them space away from the back rowers bound on, or you can make a dart yourself. But I expect Portugal to scrum hard. Scotland, with this fresh front row, will expect to be able to hold them out, and then it'll be over to the Portuguese backs to strike.
The scrum crumbles.
Scotland a bit lucky there, I think. It looked to me like Miller Mills lost his bind, ended up in his stomach. Thankfully for him, Namikawa was on the far side and didn't see it.
This is where the props earn their crust. Rory Sutherland is a notorious strong man in the Scottish front row. You can see him with his bulging armour tattoos. Now then, this is a big call from Simon Mannix. He wants fresh legs. He wants some new bruisers to spearhead this scrummaging surge. So he's taking off his entire front row. Off go David Costa, Luka Begic and Diogo Hasferreira. On rumbles the Portuguese bomb squad. Abel da Cunha, Pedro Vicente and Antonio Prim da Costa. And if you're wondering about the numbers, by the way, Portugal do theirs slightly differently. So number 16, normally the replacement hooker for Portugal, is the replacement prop. So that's Abel Cunha. Some young players. Cunha's 23, Vicente only 20. For some of them, this is the biggest game they've played in yet. And look at the impact, turning the screw on Scotland, pulverising the Tier 1 pack Marks sniping and scoring. What a statement that is. The Scottish pack atomised by Portugal. And the wily Samuel Marks plunging over under the sticks.
I think that's what you call an impact sub or impact subs. Whole new front row. First scrum under the sticks, and they absolutely dished up the Scotland pack there. Had the penalty advantage. Marks throws the dummy. George Horne will be disappointed he doesn't do better there. But the damage was done up front. All the momentum, all the damage, all the power coming through. Cunha, Vicente and Prim in the new front row for Portugal.
Yeah, his March does brilliantly to finish it, wriggling away from George Horne, who will be disappointed with that effort. He was caught in two minds, thinking he's got to get out to make the first tackle on the attacker, but he's got to get his job done first on March. He misses the tackle, but all of the credit to Cunha, Vicente and Prim in that front row, and obviously the others behind them bringing on that power, because that's where Scotland were compromised. The defence was compromised, and March made it count.
Biggest points tally Portugal have ever mustered against one of the four home nations. Maximum previous benchmark was 12 against Ireland and Wales. They've outstripped that today. Hastings, McDowell to Graham. And he saw the space open up, but it was quickly shut in his face. Harrison, ninth carry for the hooker. Haven't seen too much of the play down at this side of the pitch, and let's have a look at this wonderful reverse angle. Samuel March fighting aside George Horne. Not playing like a 36-year-old, is he, Rory?
No, absolutely not. And Simon Mannix brings him back in, rolls the dice on the old experienced head, and there it pays off. You actually saw March. Typically, if that scrum had been square, there would have been a back rower there waiting to eat up March, even after Horne had missed the tackle. But there wasn't. It was the back row were wheeled away by that dominant front row, and it was just became mano a mano, and Marks came out on top.
It's not just a scrum where. Sorry, Rory, you go.
Yeah, just once again, Scotland's line-out really struggling. Their return on line-out's been poor. I think that's 3 of the 11 that they've lost.
Portugal, meanwhile, have dropped it in midfield, so Scotland have a reprieve and have more red zone possession. Hastings standing deep. Hutchison, Reed cut down well behind the gain line by Simal Bunto.
That was a great read by Pinto there. Off the pass, shifted, took the space, cut Scotland down at their ankles.
Horne throwing the dummy, looking for man outside. He is ragdolled. Mighty shot from Abel da Cunha. And then Portugal infringe at the breakdown.
Yeah, I think Horne's been hurt here. He was properly ragdolled here. You just see here, just the weight of Da Cunha Vicente.
Yeah.
And it's actually a bit of a head knock here that came off the back of it. I think he's getting a bit of tension there, George Horne. But that was a heck of a whiplash there. Again, just big man on smaller man. And you just see there the power. George Horne's back on his feet, but I think the referee is saying I'm not sure if it's going out on for an HIA, but whatever the case, Jamie Dobby now coming on alongside Matt Curry.
Yeah, double change for Scotland. George Horne does look to be heading up the tunnel for an HIA. There's Matt Curry, farmer from Dumfries, one of the bright lights for Edinburgh in a bleak season last year. And Jamie Dobie is on as well. So Horne off for further assessment. Rory Hutchison off as well. And Portugal, meanwhile, have changed their fly half. Hugo Aubry, one of the talented young players in their squad, on for Domingos Cabral. This time the line-out functions for Scotland to Ewan Johnson. Can they make that superior weight tell? Paddy Harrison, stained red and white from the Murrayfield paint. It's like war paint on him. Dobie, first touch. McDowell, Hastings missing Graham. finding Jordan. Slick hands to Aaron Reid. He's got serious gas, and he only needs third gear to make it.
And that's a shape that Scotland have used so many times over the last number of seasons. We saw it against South Africa for the disallowed try. We saw it against Fiji with Adam Hastings' miracle pass out the back. But all the little pieces of detail work. The maul gets going. It's a fantastic pass from Jamie Dobie. The width of it takes out half of the Portuguese defensive line. And a quality pass from Adam Hastings. And Tom Jordan does a brilliant job of holding his feet. He knows the pressure's coming. Holds his feet. He knows the space is outside him. He just has to get it there. Look at this. Take and give. It's a fantastic piece of skill. And Aaron Reid does the rest.
Only played 3 games for Sale this season, but they've been good games, impressive games, as Hastings' radar rediscovers its accuracy. But he's got such raw pace, such finishing prowess.
Yeah, and you look here, just a quick transfer. That's the pass there that opens it up. And if you look at it realistically, barring the little McDowell ball off the hip to Hastings, you've got 3 passes there. Dobie to McDowell, McDowell to Hastings, then over to Jordan, Jordan wide. So in the space of 3 wide passes, you've covered 60 metres of width. Absolutely tremendous skill execution, makes it easy for Reid to score.
Magnificent work from Portugal at the restart. Rising highest to tap the ball back on their side. Aubrey, it's an early touch. And Antonio Prim da Costa. Marques, Aubrey, Vicente. But marched backwards, Couto. Rumbled backwards by Matt Curry. Centre on back row. Curry hassling Marques as well. And Antonio Prim da Costa has to go all the way back. Aubrey. Cardoso Pinto. Scotland not falling for his wizardry. Ball is loose, ball is lost forwards. Possession is Scotland's. Johnson. McDowell throwing the dummy. It's got a big, powerful handoff as well. Muncaster up to the 10-metre line. Albornoz reefed off that ball. Ah, lovely hands from Hastings to Curry to Reid, who's scorching away, untouched. Scotland opening up, finding the gears in attack. And Aaron Reid's too hot to handle, a blistering double for the Sale Sharks.
Scored by Reid, made by Hastings. Aaron Reid 2 in just a couple of minutes. But this one was made, it's just the patience in the hold. It comes from defensive pressure. There, just a forced offload after the choke tackle. But look at this here from Adam Hastings. Holds up, little shoulder ball. I think that's Curry to Reid, then it's Reid footwork. Double-footed step through the hole, and then the jet shoes on. Good score.
Yeah, Adam Hastings does a good job just to interest Jose Lima there. He bites in. At that point, there's no recovery for him to get back in line. Just the time on the ball. Really comfortable, Adam. He takes the ball to the line, double pumps it. Tries to make someone bite in, and it absolutely did happen.
Hastings slots the extras. 4th time this year that Scotland have hit half century.
That double pump there, almost looked, Adam Hastings almost confused the defence by looking semi-confused himself. All games of the mind, telling lies with the ball. That double pump just drew in that last defender, Jose Lima, into the space, and then Curry and Reid did the rest.
Scotland now imbued with great belief and confidence. That Portugal revival quelled. And Matt Curry running straight and hard. Jordan. Such a brace of power, Tom Jordan. Harrison, that was neat. Kick over the top from Graham. Dobie gives chase. Cardoso Pinto fields.
Yeah, great counter-ruck by Darcy Graham. The double effort on the tackle.
And he's going to earn Scotland a penalty too. Hands on the floor.
You can just see Scotland, in the space of 5 minutes, get 2 tries, and suddenly they just open up. The pressure releases done, and from there you just see this confidence breeding immediately. couple of really sharp strikes, some tiring Portuguese bodies. And as John says, that work done there, Darcy Graham, chip over the top. Dobby nearly got Cardoso Pinto. Graham got him, bounced to the feet, counter ruck, followed up with a couple of his teammates, and from there they generate the penalty and another opportunity to get 3 in a very short space of time.
They are averaging close to 5 points per 22 visits, Scotland. And we're about to see Freddie Douglas come onto the pitch for his debut as well. He's warming up beneath us. What must he be thinking? 19 years of age, watching all this unfold, about to join the fray. Paddy Harrison carries. McDowell fighting around the fringes. Flower of Scotland peels around Murrayfield. Dobie, Harrison, quick transfer. Hastings, kick into those enormous in-goal areas, but a little bit too much Weetabix on that one.
Yeah, it's got a little bit scrappy there. The ball was almost too quick there, and here he comes. Freddie Douglas, so much written about him this week, 19 years old. You saw the emotion in the anthems. What a moment.
Portugal, meanwhile, keeping poor old Freddie Douglas waiting, standing on ceremony for an extra moment or two, because quick line out and Cardoso Pinto slips the shackles. He's a threat, kicking into open prairie for Storty. What a foot race with Aaron Reid, and the ball will beat them all. That's a shame, because that would have been interesting. Manuel Cardoso Pinto, such a dangerous, unpredictable talent. And here he is, 19 years of age. He wept during the national anthem, and now he puffs out his cheeks as he takes the field for not just his first cap, but his first ever professional match. Freddie Douglas, the future is here. And there is the man whose record he's just shattered. The youngest Scotland player since that man, since Donald White in 1963. And at 19 years and 6 months old, Freddie Douglas has a slice of Murrayfield history. Meanwhile, Portugal, not bothered about who's coming on and off for Scotland, have got a job to do for themselves, for their pride. Appleton, Bento sliding down the outside, releasing the ball just in the nick of time before he crossed the touchline, but Scotland making rather a mess of the Portuguese possession. Still Portugal have it, and the big, long, striding limbs of Antonio Andrade.
Keep your eye on Freddie Douglas. All the talk of him is his superpower at the breakdown. That's his point of difference. Young man coming into the international game. That is where Scotland, that's where Gregor Townsend expect him to make a real impact.
Most breakdown steals, most tackles in the under-20 Six Nations earlier this year. Looking to transfer that form to the grandest stage of all. Albury, Appleton, slips away from a couple, smacked into Alex Samuel, who's down and hurt. March introducing Storty, big fin from Storty, and the arrow, La Flèche of Stade Francais, cuts Scotland open.
Well, he was the name that was spoken about from the World Cup in France last year, and he's got his name on the score sheet. Raffaele Storty. Scotland will be frustrated. It looked all too easy for him breaking through. Again, it's Scotland's line out not firing. This time, just lost off the top, and from here, yeah, he's got no right to score that. March has got nowhere to go, just almost gives that pass away to Storty and says, you have it, try and do something. Storty obliges, dots down, Portugal get a deserved score.
Yeah, it's a sluggish piece of defence from Scotland. Johnny Matthews is coming across. Portugal have managed to create an overlap there, so he's rushing, ends up going lateral, and Storty comes back across the grain and picks him off. But certainly Scotland won't be happy with that, nor will Steve Tandy in particular, the defence leaders. 21 points on the scoreboard against them.
Alex Samuel's heading off for a head injury assessment, so Alex Craig, for the time being, is back with us. But Raffaele Storty, one of the most dangerous players in the emerging nation scene carves up the Rugby Europe Championship year on year. Vital tries in the World Cup win over Fiji, draw with Georgia in Toulouse and Bordeaux. Such a talent. That's his 17th try in 27 matches for Portugal. Max had a little snipe, and there's Freddie Douglas straight on him. Removed this time by a powerful front rower. Dumash Appleton cutting into the traffic. Freddie Douglas again hunting for the steal. That's what his game's all about. March over the top of McDowell, who introduces Tom Jordan with open prairie in his crosshairs. Inside to Bayliss. Watch Bayliss motor. He's got Johnny Matthews alongside, Aaron Reid as well. Reid did well to hold on to that ball under some duress. Jordan, Graham wants the cross fielder. That's where it's going, but there's too much on it.
Yeah, he knows it. I think that might be his first error in international rugby, to be fair to him. Darcy Graham's hand was up in the wide channels. Just had to be a flatter style crossfield kick if it was going to work, but it all came from this break anyway. In amongst everything good that Scotland do, Tom Jordan this evening and for the last 3 weeks. See if he just punches it a little bit flatter. Might have worked. Maybe Portugal had that covered anyway.
Pedro Vicente's throw, disguised to the front to Martin, something Portugal do a lot, not blessed with great height or weight in the tight five of their pack. And Max drills it off the pitch as we approach the last 10 minutes.
Good kick, good exit. Portugal got to manage their energy levels here. You sense the energy's gone a little bit. The challenge for Scotland is keep this tempo high, finish the game strong. The bench will definitely help that. I've just been keeping a close eye on Freddie Douglas. He's made 6 tackles since he came on in the space of 4 minutes. Really imposing himself, already making himself very comfortable on the international stage. It's great to see.
He actually took up yoga at the age of 14 to try and master the art of the jackal, try and get over that ball and be as strong as he can in those positions. You do something similar, John, back in the day?
Namaste.
I thought it was John you were talking about when they said it was the youngest debutant 60 years ago, actually. The way he's moving this afternoon.
John's downward-facing dogs are very impressive.
That's my basics.
Here's Cardoso Pinto searching down the tram lines for Storty. McDowell, though, neatly on to Kyle Rowe, the last of Scotland's replacements. He came on for Adam Hastings, by the way, which is why Tommy Jordan now seems to be stepping forward, playing at fly half. And Portugal offside.
Just a positioning is offside. Timing is fine, just a positioning.
It's been really bitty this second half for Scotland, and in particular, hasn't it? Obviously, we've had a couple of scores by Portugal, 3 by Scotland. Not really managed to find any kind of rhythm. Really patchy throughout most of the game in many ways. The first half was much better, managing to notch up, was it 5 tries, including that penalty try in the first half before a response. But this second half's just become a little bit disjointed, inevitable with the changes coming from the bench. But the players who have come off the bench will be desperate to try and really push a cause in this final 10 minutes, even just for a bench spot next week.
Johnny Matthews throws to Craig. Averaging a try every 71 minutes for Glasgow, Johnny Matthews. Here's McDowell. Jordan Reeds, who's on a hat-trick.
Just overran that slightly. Just needs to give Tom Jordan a bit of time on the ball there, and he would have been through the hole.
Matthews has a shot. Here's Craig, fending off one, finding Jamie Dobie. Douglas does the clearing. Craig throwing the dummy and crashing just to within a metre. Ewan Johnson, the enormous second row of Oyonnax, fancies this one. Portugal offside, so Scottish penalty. Dobie, they won't need that penalty because one of Glasgow's players of the season so far, with a wink and a smile at Darcy Graham, scores another for Scotland.
Yeah, had an inevitability about it, that one, but that man in picture, the try scorer, Jamie Dobie, I don't think he can be too far away. He's pushing Ben White. Certainly his form with Glasgow is superb. Again, there's that shape that Scotland used to. Well, that's the role. think if Aaron Reid could have held his feet just by a yard or two, he would have been through. First face try. As it was, Scotland go to their power game. A couple of useful pick and goes. Alex Craig with a nice offload. And Jamie Dobby strong through the first tackle. Doesn't quite get it. And then a little pick and dive over. I think you might have even scored that, Rory.
Doubt it, John.
In fact, I'm not sure.
Tom Jordan to the manner born at Test Rugby. 2 more points for Scotland. Where do you put Jamie Dobie, Rory, in the Scottish Nines pecking order? Ali Price, Ben White not playing today. Ben Vellacott too at Edinburgh. Dobie knocking on the door?
He's certainly knocking on the door. I mean, he's still such a young man, isn't he? You know, only 23 years old and just starting to notch up caps. He obviously lacks the experience of the likes. We'll come back to this in due course. Scotland go again.
Oh no!
Oh, you can finish that thought, Rory, because it was a forward pass.
And the Tom players Jordan are going to finish it anyway. Keep commentating, Jamie.
Half of Murrayfield is still on its feet.
Oh, what a
Tom
try.
Jordan splashes over. He's celebrating like he's scored the greatest try of his life. But 80 metres back downfield is a Japanese bloke with a whistle, gesturing that a pass was forwards.
Cue the boos.
Sorry, Tom.
He's only just figured it out.
Do those count towards his running meter stats?
They should.
Do they count towards my fantasy team points, more importantly?
Oh, it is forward. It is forward. Do you want me to pick up on Jamie Dobie again?
Why not?
It was a great break. It's the right call from referee Namakawa. But 60-ish thousand Scottish fans will disagree for now. And Tom Jordan is going to pick his lungs up from somewhere around the 22 on his way back.
Sometimes the music sounds so sweet that it hurts to turn down the volume, but that was clearly a forward pass from Matthews to McDowell. And in the end, it's going to be Portugal into the final 4.5 minutes of play. We've got a chance to bag a 4th try here. Portugal have split their backline here. Cardoso Pinto and Binto off to the left. Aubrey, the 2 centres, and Storty standing guard to the right. Got a free crack here because Scotland give away the scrum penalty. Marsh still full of running and full of tricks, but that one rather well read by Darcy Graham, who had the try records in his sights. Not to be this time.
No, and it's the right decision again. Abel Cunha's really given Elliot Miller-Mills a really tough time on this tight head side.
Hugo Aubrey goes to the stands. Samuel Marques still wields such influence over this Portuguese team. Pedro Vicente Stroh. Big moments these for Portugal. They want to build this bigger score, take as much positivity from a rare outing against a Six Nations team as they can. Another penalty advantage. Aubrey plays ping pong. Everybody was onside there. Or were they? No. Samuel Marques again whipping the cattle around the pitch here.
Take the scrum, I think.
They're not going to be able to, they're going to have to pause a second. I think Rory Sutherland's just in the in-goal area. I don't know if he got a finger in the eye or something.
Well, while Rory Sutherland is just going through a bit of an eye test, let's do famous grouse player of the match, shall we? John, who's caught the eye, no pun intended, for you today?
It's a very good segue, Jamie. That man in picture, we spoke about him before the game, and he has delivered again. Only his 3rd cap for Scotland. Tom Jordan His stats have been through the roof again. 13 carries, 137 metres, offloading for fun. And at the heart of everything good that Scotland have done, Tom Jordan is the thoroughly deserved Famous Grouse player of the match.
If he is to be a Bristol Bear next year, and all the indications are that he will, what kind of a player are Bristol getting?
A pretty complete one, I'd say. Comfortable at 10, 12, 15. He's shown he can quite easily take this step up to international rugby. He's physical, his kicking game's good, he distributes well. They've got a hell of a player.
He's as tough as woodpecker's lips as well. He is a tough cookie, loves the physical side of the game, and we've seen that. He runs hard, he's not scared in defence, he fully embraces his defensive duties, and he looks to the manner born, he really does. He's settled into an international jersey. You see him rallying the troops here now, having stepped into the fly half position. You just see carrier, meters made, tackle breaks, 6 tackle breaks, you know. That's probably half of what you'd get from an entire team in a normal match.
Yeah, you're throwing his try assist as well, his passing work to distribute and put other people into space.
Portugal marmalising that Scottish scrum, and what a rampaging charge by Vasco Batista. Did he ground the ball beneath the flailing, vanquished Scotsman in his mist?
This is going to be a tight one.
Time off.
It's Darcy Graham who got squashed in the initial carry, but might just have got under the ball.
All three decided no try. Got a check for non-grounding.
Brian McNeice, the TMO, called into action. On-field decision is no try.
Stand by.
It's Darcy Graham underneath him, and Luke Crosby as well. Actually falls onto Graham.
Just whether he gets it with his secondary movement. I'm not sure he does.
It's all in the question, isn't it? If he gives that as on-field try, it's probably harder to overturn than it is to give.
He's unfortunate, because look at this, Darcy Graham, he bounces Darcy Graham off. And if Darcy Graham falls anywhere else, he just dives straight over the line. Instead, he's right on the patch that he's looking to dive onto. It's a difficult one to give, I think, Vasco Batista, unless it clearly shows the point being grounded.
I think you're right. I think the fact that he thinks it's no try, unless he can see a reason not to. It's hard to imagine that any part of that ball wouldn't have touched the ground at some point, but unless we see it,
I mean, nothing so far.
Namakawa won't really be able to give it.
This might be the angle.
Not clear evidence for me. Yeah. So, I have a decision. I have a decision back on me.
Yes, now they're back to you.
Yep. No clear evidence to the overturn. So, stick on non-field decision. No try. Go right.
How cruel for Portugal and for Vasco Batista. Only South Africa have scored 4 tries at Murrayfield this year. Portugal within the width of Darcy Graham's fingers from matching the Springboks tally. And off comes their talisman Samuel Marques. So Antonio Campos, who made his debut against the USA last weekend, will get his second cap for all of 1 minute and 15 seconds. Bento. One last chance for Portugal to bring up their quartet of tries. Aubry looking for options, finding Antonio Andrade. A shot from Alex Craig, who's one of the top tacklers in the URC, the Scarlets. Aubry, Appleton, and direct line from Manuel Cardoso Pinto. Campos, Aubry, and Storty weaving his way inside. Final 30 seconds of the match. Campos, Aubry, and Appleton to Lima. Still a real power presence in that midfield. Aubry, Bento, Darcy Graham bounced. Portugal going through the phases. Can they find a killer touch? Tomasz Appleton tosses it out the back. Aubry controls it inadvertently with his instep. And Batista played a lot of sevens for Portugal. Doesn't mind the unstructured, doesn't mind the carries either. Dishing out the pain in the dying embers of this contest. And then a little fumble forward on the deck. And that will be the last act of a frenetic Autumn Nations Series encounter in Edinburgh. Freddie Douglas is a professional rugby player. He's an international rugby player. And a record breaker at that, at just 19 years of age. But in the Murrayfield moonlight, it has been emphatic, it has been comfortable, and it has been professional for Gregor Townsend's troops. Full time at Scottish Gas Murrayfield. Scotland 59, Portugal 21.
Thank you to Jamie, to Rory and to John for the match commentary there. And congratulations to Scotland and to Tom Jordan, player of the match in this one. Ryan Wilson alongside me. What's your main takeaway from that performance, Ryan?
Well, 9 Scotland tries. They spoke about it last week and said, you know, coming up against the back-to-back world champs, no tries there. And they wanted to score some points. They wanted to make sure they could go out, entertain this packed out Murrayfield Stadium, 60,000 here today, fantastic. And they wanted